Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth plus 55 wins in a row. And you just chill for a second, you just chill. I'm just a pair of underpants. And life is a nightmare. Gotta ergo myself. Oh, you know what? I've been playing first-person shooters. These armrests need to come up. Oh, they're not that high. Come on, I'm not trying to get elbow tendonitis. Okay, that seems pretty good. There's your seed, by the way. You probably saw it while I was adjusting. It's totally fine, to be honest. Hello, good morning. It's a totally fine seed at the present moment. The only suffering imparted to us is, you know what? At least Hourglass beats Scissors. The only suffering is our damage stat, but truth be told, sure. Truth be told, I think our damage stat is, I don't want to say it's the least important statistic, but there's really only like 3.5 statistics that matter at all. I don't want to release a free ebook about how to win games in the Binding of Isaac, but really, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. The most important stats are HP, tears, and damage, and then speed is important until it isn't. You always like having a little bit more. I used to think that you didn't want to, you know, go that high on speed, but I think that I disagree with that. Now I think 2 is where you want to be. You just need to have a perfectly lubricated myelin sheath in your brain in order to not walk into spikes and fires constantly, which I have not been very good at. Neuroplasticity is becoming neuro-rigidity. But we're making up for it with good higher level decision-making processes for the first time in a long time. Okay, can't do anything with that. I would like, for certain, to do the little thing right on this one. Blow up the champion next to this. I think we're gonna have to do a couple more loops, maybe. Maybe not. Come on, come on. There you go, there you go, there you go. No, 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 a little close. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Let's go do some more exploration, because it would be nice to... Not that we've gotten nothing out of that room. We did improve our spacebar item, but we would like to get a passive out of it as well. There could be a big swing there. This is pretty good. We should get a bomb or a tarot card out of this. Anyway. Yeah, you know the deal. The only stats that matter are those, for the most part. Nobody's ever had a run where they were like, oh, I was gonna win, but like shot speed was too low. Some of the other stats matter a little bit. Like range matters, but it really only matters for those items. Like nothing gives you such a catastrophic range down, except for items that also give you a disproportionately high tiers up. So you know, I'm not trying to be like Galaxy Brain. I'm looking at it through like the lens of pragmatism. I don't deal in the theoreticals. You know, I deal with the realities of Isaac. If you can get those 3.5 stats to a pretty good spot, you're probably gonna be okay. You know what? Let's do the little things right. Let's not take the pill, and we can really make good stuff happen with the Lover's card on the next floor if we get an arcade. And let's see what we got going on here. I'll give you 1 cent, and now we'll start using our bombs. It's not good enough. You know, sure. I've really come around to Pop, not so much, but like Pop, Hemolacria are kind of in the same boat for me. I think you can get cool tier effects out of these. This is, with the damage we have right now, I think this is pretty poor. But maybe this will be Small Rock. Plus, it's still super early. We got a lot of positives working out in our favor here. I'm not sweating it too much. Okay, so what is doing a little thing right look like here? Using 1 bomb instead of 2 is a good start. And then if you guys could just jump into the eyeball tiers. There we go. We got a good thing going. So today is Sunday. I hope everybody had an excellent weekend, of course. What did I get up to? We bought some fans. That's in 2020. That's a good weekend. We bought some fans, you know? We went to an electronics store. Wait, what's the impetus? Well, I'm glad you asked, by the way. You know what? I think I'm going to start here, actually, believe it or not. Because the money could be worth a lot for us. We don't really, well, I mean, we would, of course, love Demon Judgment to pay out with something. But we can always use the Lover's card to make that happen after we get a little money. We're supposed to have air conditioning. But 2020's all messed up, as you know. Or maybe you haven't heard, in which case, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But, you know, we gotta get the air conditioning fixed. However, it's hard to get the air conditioning fixed because, you know, like, it's the start of the summer season, and also the COVID stuff is still going on. I don't know why the COVID stuff has a ripple effect into the HVAC industry, but I also don't work in the HVAC industry, so I can't really, you know, call them on that. You know what I mean? It's not really my purview. It's not my area of expertise. So we went out and we bought a couple of fans. That was nice. You know what I realized is that a stand-up fan is really like an electronic window. It generates a spot of breeze. As soon as I thought about, you know, I had thought fans were a relatively boring piece of electronic equipment. Or electric. What's the difference between electronic and electric? Electric, obviously, is like using electricity. So they are electric. But electronic? I always think that electronic is like something that has a display on it. I don't know if that actually makes sense. And again, you know, I have to stress, I'm not sure if, because I'm ignorant to other languages, I'm not sure if anybody ever masters a language 100%, even the language that they grew up speaking, right? However, I will say, I've been speaking English and only English for, I don't know, 28 of my 31 years. No, you can speak before the age of 3. Of course, but before then I was speaking Farsi. And to still not know that, I'm like, really? I think we should dispense with the word electronic. That's my hypothesis. And stick to merely electric. But maybe they'll be, oh, but you know, the Tesla is electric, but it's not electronic. I don't know. Also, why is it pronounced electric and then electronic? You know what I mean? Like, why are we making, like, is life not hard enough? We gotta come up with unique rules for every single. And then they always the grammar rigidists always try to hit you with something absurd. You know, like, well, the rule is that the longer the word, the more likely the first vowel sound will be long. I don't know if that's true. I think that's just what you tell yourself so you can sleep at night. That's pretty much it. Bought a couple of fans, watched a couple of movies that I missed out on earlier last year, or later last year, I guess. Saw the film Ready or Not, which I thought, if you're not familiar, it's got some commonalities with the movie Knives Out, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's not indie, but it's kind of an indier Knives Out and a little bit more thriller focused as opposed to mystery, which is not, it's kind of, you know, betraying the actual film itself. It's not really that Knives Outy. It just does take place partly in a mansion with a rich and idiosyncratic family, but no thank you. I thought Knives, or let me rephrase, I thought Ready or Not was okay. I thought it was pretty okay. I got nothing against it. I definitely do not think it was better than Knives Out, but then again, as recently established, they're very different films. And I also saw Good Boys, the super bad but middle school. I will admit, I had a few belly laughs, but I also found myself a little bit bored by the end of it. It had the shrillest highs and the lowest lows, as the Postal Service said. But I realized as well, I don't know if anybody or many people watching this are from Vancouver. Watching a movie when you're from Vancouver, I would say about 10% of movies you have this conversation. Is that... Do you think this was filmed in Vancouver? And then you see, like, something that looks like, Kitsilano, and you go, dude, wait a minute, is that the Canada Post building on, West Georgia? And then you go, you kind of trick yourself. No, I bet, come on, I bet a lot of parts of the world look like this. This could have, I don't think I want it. I definitely don't think I want it. And then you realize in actuality, you know, you go Google, where was Good Boys filmed? And it says Vancouver, Surrey, and Abbotsford. And you go, I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. So Book of Sin is very nice. However, and I don't think this is Galaxy Brain, I think that IV Bag with Old Bandage actually might be a little bit more useful for us. We do have a sincere DPS problem right now. And, I mean, this is abundantly clear, I'm sure, but Black Powder was not going to solve that. Black Powder was not going to make much of a difference there. Why was this... Oh, you know what? It was open because of the curse, I think. So, we'll take this so we can make it work for us in the future, maybe? You know what I mean? Like, depending on what we get, it might be more advantageous for us to hold 9 volt. We do have... I would say we have a lot of support right now in terms of our, like, the infrastructure of our HP. I'm really glad we got to 5 cents, because it actually does give us the chance for an arcade on this floor as well. You know, the odds of it were not particularly high, but I'm glad that we got there. But I would say on this floor, we're getting close to an urgent need for some kind of DPS improvement. We've actually gone backwards on DPS because of the pill that I took when I said I wasn't going to take pills, but, okay, my mistake. We'll grab this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my weekend. Played a little bit more, Aim Beast, worked on my sensitivity. Again, I can't stress enough, I don't anticipate myself becoming an incredible first-person shooter player or an incredible Call of Duty Warzone player, but again, with so many things closed, it's nice to have an indoor hobby that of self-improvement that you can focus on, you know what I mean? It's a good time. But it's not that exciting. I mean, really, I spent like 45 minutes just clicking on boxes, so it's not really the kind of thing you can generate a substantial anecdote out of, if you know what I mean. Hello? 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 I mean, just the time to kill on this room is making me very upset. Taking forever. But it's the kind of, and, you know, I complain about runs, and this run is in Complain City if we don't get a DPS upgrade at some point in the relatively near future. However, this is kind of like the ideal run if you're forced to have a kind of bad run. Because we're at no risk whatsoever. As of the present moment, everything is going completely fine. I do think we don't want... Let's see how this works. We can't afford it yet. I know we could afford it if we press the button, but just give me a second, because that'll put us in a tricky spot. If it doubles the payout without doubling the cost, that's great. But you and I both know that's not how that's about to go. This is one where you should just trust your senses on that one. You know? It's going to cost you twice as much, which actually doesn't really benefit it at all. It actually makes IV Bag a lot worse, because, you know, we could always get double the effect anyway just by pressing the button twice. It's really good if we get some other spacebar items, like if we get Book of Revelations or something like that. That's fine. Yeah, you played right into my hand, dummy. I think what we would actually love to see here, as far as, like, pretty good items that would be disproportionately good for us, obviously anything with damage, but, or tears, I should say. But Gimpy would actually be incredible for us as well, because, you know, every time we get hit, we would have 2 chances to get some more HP. Come on. Come on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. This shouldn't be taking this long. Don't! You fell right into my trap again, dummy. 2 HP for the price of 1. All we need to do is get a couple of luck upgrades off that, and oh baby, we got a stew going. Okay, that's very nice. The Fallen. I think this is where you use all of your bombs. The Fallen is going to be extraordinarily annoying. That's fine. This could be a huge swing for us. Like, Cat of Nine Tails is already pretty okay. Dark Prince's Crown. Look, I think this is where a lot of people would be like, don't be mad at Dark Prince's Crown. You can actually make it work with IV Bag. And I believe that's probably true. But also, we're not going to do that. That's a lot of work to maintain. I do the Dark Prince's Crown is good, but with 6 HP upgrades, or 6 heart containers, it's a little tricky to finesse it into existence long term. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know where the mood might strike us. Okay, so we win. That's what you like to see. Don't want to go too deep necessarily, but there is also the awareness that we do get to Dark Prince's Crown, at least temporarily, and then secondarily, we get more money, which we could use to spend on the shop, and then on top of all that, it's worth a shot. On top of that, we get more chances at luck upgrades, which is really, like, part of the meat and potatoes of why I'm doing this right now. And oh my god, 3 luck? I think we're gonna finish this floor off. We've already come so far. Look, I have had, over the years of my Isaac play, I've had some bad habits, don't get me wrong. What are the worst habits? We've actually eliminated a lot of them, I would say. For probably 4 years, I just took a deal with the devil that was presented to me, no matter what it was. I came to the belief that HP was worth nothing, and meaningless items were gold. I don't know how I came to this. It's, you know, sometimes my brain is a mystery, even to myself, to be honest with you. Don't. Okay, we got hit, but we also got, the rainbow poop. We've eliminated that. I think that I evaluate items before I take them most of the time, and that's a good one. A bad habit I do have, though, is the habit of not exploring. You never know what you're missing out on when you don't explore. We try not to leave item rooms behind. We leave shops behind a lot, but it's an insidious habit. You know, some bad habits are really bad. And I'm not going to try to take like a super galaxy brain approach. But in some ways, a bad habit that's really bad is self-regulating. Because if you keep doing the bad habit, you're not going to be doing the bad habit for very long. You know what I mean? If you've got like a truly debilitating addiction that's affecting your health, you're putting yourself at risk every time you do it. It's not a long-term solution, right? If you get addicted to gambling, you're possibly going to go broke, and that's going to put a real hole in your ability to gamble. However, if you've got like a little bad habit, like eating a whole sleeve of Oreos every night, that's, in a way, it's almost more insidious. Not worse, but more insidious. Because you don't feel the ill effects of it for like, 30 years. And then 30 years later, you're like, what the heck? My blood is like, cherry jello. How did this happen? I'm avoiding the false equivalency. I want to make that clear. I'm just saying that in some ways, at least let's make it Isaac related now. The bad habits that kill you are easy to spot because their disastrous effects are so obvious. Whereas the stuff that doesn't kill you but may contribute to more losses over time is tougher to spot and thus tougher to root out a little bit, but we're working on it. That's what I mean by doing the little things right, And doing the little things right, sometimes it doesn't just mean You know, trying to blow up an exploding champion on top of the tinted rock instead of just yeeting him into the ether. Sometimes it means walking through a bunch of rooms that are perhaps unlikely to give you anything. Okay. An actual tears upgrade. That's exciting. I want to see if we can get that filled if possible. I don't want to go too hard on this. Alright, we'll stop there. Don't get me wrong, we got a great thing going here. And Tech X is really good. So I'm just, I don't want to... Oh, there goes the Bone Heart. Well, so much for that. That's okay. Really, the meat and potatoes of Divorce Papers is the Tears upgrade regardless. But obviously that kind of stunk. So there is a chance. I would say, like, right now, CNN can confidently predict that this run is going to win. However, we can really... Everybody can go home early if we get to the shop. And the shop has, like, not greed. That's a good start. And if the shop has a reroll machine, it's even better. Because we got, I wouldn't say unlimited money, but real, like, sustenance, financially speaking. From a fiduciary level. I don't know what fiduciary means, really. Well, I mean, I do know what it means. It means, like, relating to the subject of money. But mostly I just use it as a fancy word for financial. Everybody knows financial, but if you can hit them with the hipster word, I think we want it still. Then, you know, that's good. It's like the same way you could say pay back, but why say pay back when instead you could say restitution? I don't know why I did that in the Adam Sandler opera singer voice. How's this for doing a little thing right? We don't do this too often. No reroll machine. We'll take this. We'll definitely take this. We'll take this. We'll take this. And I think we'll just hit this a little bit. You know what? I think the time has come for us to accept that this donation machine, you know, if we're going to be around for the long haul, let's make sure it's around for the long haul as well. I mean, we got $6.47 in there. That's a pretty good piggy bank, but still. I thought I had a good bit. I felt a good bit appear in my head and then disappear. Oh, I remember what it was. When did we stop calling people hipsters? And by that, I mean, when did it become so out of touch for somebody to say the word hipster? Because I'll tell you, and I'm, you know, I resist the notion that every bit I do is like, well, back in my day. But really, when I was like an early teenager, the word hipster was from like the Beat generation in San Francisco at the Haight-Ashbury. You know what I mean? Like, my only exposure to it was in Austin Powers 1, where Dr. Evil goes, "There's nothing more pathetic than an aging hipster." You know? It was somebody who was like, not quite like what you would call a hippie, but, you know, somebody who's into bohemian style stuff. Maybe like independent coffee houses. Hello, Tomo. Do you want some independent coffee house coffee? You can't have it. Caffeine is highly toxic to cats. There's your the more you know situation. And then, like, really around 2008 to 2010, I felt like was peak, or like it was the genesis of starting to call people hipsters, which was really bad. And I've used this bit for like a decade now, but it was really bad for somebody with early onset male pattern baldness and terrible eyes. Because I went bald. I got glasses. Well, I had glasses since like elementary school, but I got thick glasses because my eyes were getting terrible. And then all of a sudden, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Alges? Might as well give it a shot. And is like, whoa, look at this hipster over here. No, I'm just genetically broken. Thank you very much. I am a hipster, but it's not because of the way that I look, okay? But then I really feel like it's fallen out of favor. Like now, whenever somebody calls somebody else a hipster, I'm always like, are you jealous? I don't get it. It got pretty bad with the dawn of man buns, waxed mustaches, and craft beers, though, for sure. I can understand people's annoyance with hipsters during that time. But really, my enduring, the way that I feel about the hipster, so-called hipster generation that I'm coining myself right here, is that they were people who were young, and also didn't merely adopt their parents' standards for products for consumption. That's really the way I look at a hipster. Is like instead of going to Tim Hortons for coffee, they go to, you know, like maybe a local place. And then everybody, or not everybody, but some people get offended and are like, hey, that dude with the mustache is getting soy milk in his coffee. You think you're better than me? Well, look, he might think he's better than you. But it's probably not because of the coffee. It's because you're going to Tim Hortons. I apologize. I apologize. Not to Tim Hortons. They've had their chance with me. Are we gonna make this a Canadian episode? I really do not like Tim Hortons. I've said it many times. I resent the fact that Tim Hortons, for people in America, is seen as a Canadian, or a symbol of Canadian iconography. Because I really think it's like not A, very good, and also B, leans heavily into the marketing that, like, Canada is Tim Hortons, when everybody's like, well, maybe you should be nicer to your employees then. But anyway, I digress, I suppose. The one thing I'll say about Tim Hortons, I do not think their coffee is great, and I think their food is very bad. But if you ever want a bagel with cream cheese that is 4% bagel, 96% cream cheese, I encourage you to, that should be your first stop. Honestly, you should go there before going literally anywhere else. The cream cheese ratio is absurd. And I'm someone who likes cream cheese. In fact, like, probably over cream cheeses my own bagels when I eat them, which is never, because my doctor would kill me because I would be killing myself with the diet in the first place. Hold on, we want to do it like this. Yeah. But even still, many times I would get a bagel from Tim Hortons and be like, look, this is just egregious. You guys are taking this too far. But if you're an extraordinarily cream cheese head, I'm talking like cream cheese as thick as the bagel. You know, it's the same height as the bagel. Then that's your place. That if I would, and this is actually sincere as well. If I were in a situation where, you know, I had like $3 Canadian to eat for the whole day, I don't know how much a bagel with cream cheese is at Tim Hortons these days, but that would be one of the first places I would look, because I'm pretty sure you're getting like a 900 calorie breakfast for, you know, pretty cheap. But apart from that, I do not stand Tim Hortons. I do not stand Tim Hortons. Just because they use the flag in their marketing, they're not for me. Now, if they are for you, I understand, because I grew up in a town where, like, going to Tim Hortons was, yo, that's amazing. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like a special thing, but, you know, like, even where I lived, the closest coffee shop was like 20 minutes away. The closest Tim Hortons was like 40 minutes away at the time. So going to Tim Hortons was like, oh, we're going into town to go to Tim Hortons. And I think it's still that way for a lot of, like, rural Canada. And if you like it, you like it. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, in the before times when they were open, I would go to Starbucks. I understand Starbucks coffee is not well liked. I think their cold brew is pretty good, and I think, you know, some of the food is okay. by pre-prepared coffee shop standards. We'll take Celtic Cross, and then I think we gotta get you. Dude, can I tell you, by the way, before we continue this aggressively over-Canadian bit, I very much am growing into this idea that, sure, you know, maybe it takes us half an hour to beat Mom on a run that's good, but so be it. I'm having a good time doing the right thing. Feels nice. Anyway, we're not in any rush, so, you know, why sweat it? So, you know, you could be annoyed with me for going to Starbucks as well. Is Starbucks better? Look, having not worked at any of these places, I don't want to go too far, but I've said my piece on this a couple of times in the past. Anytime I've ever been at Tim Hortons, everybody in the entire establishment seems miserable to be there. Which, I'm not one of those, you know, boomers who's like, hey, put a smile on your face. I'm here giving you 73 cents for coffee, you know, you should bow down to me as if I'm royalty. As if you should bow down to royalty to begin with. But hey, look, we're going off today. But every time I go to Starbucks, I'm not like, I like being here because the people seem happy to be here. I'm more like, either the corporate propaganda is so good that everybody's got a smile on their face because they're scared of what would happen if they didn't, or maybe the employees here are actually a little bit more, you know, fulfilled. Not to say that, you know, there's not, you know, I don't want to say gross stuff, but you know what I mean. Not to say there isn't exploitation if you work at Starbucks, but everything I've heard from people who work there is like, it's not the best, but it's pretty good or really good by, like, chain standards, at least. I have, like, don't get me wrong, I've had McDonald's coffee many times in my life. I understand that McDonald's coffee, at least in Canada, is actually very well liked. There's I don't know how real the story is, but Tim Hortons coffee in like the 90s and the early 2000s was beloved in Canada, and then they cheaped out and switched suppliers, and McDonald's Canada swooped in and took their Tim Hortons' old supplier. But I'll tell you, at the risk of sounding ridiculous, I actually have come to the point where I don't think I enjoy hot coffee. I think coffee is a beverage that is meant to be, well, and coffee snobs, and admittedly they're right here, so I don't want to gaslight them. Coffee snobs are going to be very upset with this. But I really, like, you know, wait, what if I told you to, like, go get a glass of orange juice and then microwave it for me? Just pop that son of a gun in the microwave for 30 seconds. How would you feel? You would be like, this guy's lost his mind. That's how I feel about coffee now. I've consumed so much cold coffee that I don't want hot coffee anymore. I really think it's a beverage that is better cold. It's the same way if someone was like, hey, I'm drinking a glass of vinegar, I would be like, why? Those blogs aren't science. They don't have an MD after their name, they have an emoji. You shouldn't be listening to those people. Now, I support your right to drink cold coffee, hot coffee, but for me, look, I'm addicted to the caffeine. If I was in, like, you know, I'm taking an early flight or something, there's no cold coffee available, I'll drink a cup of hot coffee. But it's almost like, you know, coffee's already a little acidic. The fact that cold brew cuts the acidity a little bit makes it a more pleasant experience for me. Where was I going with this? I don't know. Oh, I was going to complain as usual that 50% of the time I ask for a black coffee, black iced coffee from McDonald's, they give me something that, you know, looks like, what's something that's light brown? Like an old cowboy boot? I can't think of a good metaphor, which is pretty rare for me. Either way, that's my thoughts on Canadian coffee chains. What about Second Cup? I will admit, I've only been to Second Cup once in my adult life, and it was at the Montreal airport when there was no other option. And, you know, I can't judge it based on that. I couldn't, in good conscience, judge it based on that. But I will send, you know, Canadians, we gotta be honest with each other, okay? there's a tendency for a lot of us to think that Second Cup is better than Starbucks merely because of the fact that it's a company that started in Canada. I don't think there's anything wrong with like buying nationally. I think buying locally makes a lot of sense to me. You know, the fact that, you know, if you live in Edmonton, you can buy honey and butter and peanut butter and eggs from Edmonton and, you know, beef from I don't know, another city in Alberta, let's say Canmore. You know, you can get all your stuff relatively locally. Probably tastes better, wasn't shipped in, you know, on a big freighter ship and, you know, environmentally destructive and so on and so forth. But as far as buying nationally, I'm always like, man, you're really gonna make me feel bad for getting coffee from a Seattle chain instead of a Montreal chain? I mean, Seattle's like right there. I can't get there because the border's going to be closed for like 7 years, but it's right there. Seattle's more local to me than Montreal. Moreover, and I apologize for poking a single hole in the Canadian identity here to some extent, but I'm like, I feel more in common with people that live on the West Coast than I do to other people that just happen to also be from Canada. I got a lot of, and this is just because of, you know, where I grew up and where I live now. I got a lot of, you know, in common with people that grew up in Ontario, or that live in Ontario, because I grew up there, I should say. And then, you know, apart from that, I take it on a case-by-case basis. I've been to Portland. I thought it was really cool. I've never been to St. John's, Newfoundland. So I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just saying I got nothing to base my goodwill on. Oh, he's going off today. Look, it wasn't about St. John's, Newfoundland. Or is it? No, it's St. John's, Newfoundland. It's St. John, New Brunswick, right? The point is, I don't like Tim Hortons. If you like it, that's okay. I will also say, I'm at like the last point in my life for a while, I think, where I'm like, come on. 32-year-old, let's flatter myself and call me a tech worker. A 32-year-old tech worker with no kids who works from home and lives in a coastal city. Like, I'm at peak hipster territory. It's possible after a couple of years of raising a kid, taking her to 4 a.m. ballet lessons or like daddy-daughter yoga or something like that, I'll be like, hey, just go into the Tim Hortons drive-thru. They get the coffee into the cup 32% faster than any other chain. Those are my dudes now. I can only gauge, and this is why, like, I would never say, like, this company, oh, it should go out of business or whatever, but, you know, at different phases in your life, you want different stuff. As a kid, I was like, why are there restaurants that are not pizzerias or fast food restaurants? Those are the best food. And then as, like, a teenager, I was like, how do restaurants live when they charge more than $10 a plate for a piece of food? That's ridiculous. And now as a snob who's an adult, I'm like, why are there bad sushi restaurants in Vancouver? There's so many good sushi restaurants. How do the bad sushi restaurants survive? And then, I don't know. I feel like when you have a kid, your dining options narrow quite a lot, right? Like, can you remember the first time your parents took you to an adult restaurant? I definitely remember when I was 5 or 6, I went to a sit-down restaurant with my parents and a friend of my dad's from university. But we were on vacation, and I just remember, and this is, dude, it was the 90s, okay? I remember that my dish was like shrimp, and they just had barbecue sauce on them. And then I was 6, I didn't know anything, right? I was like, Mom, Dad, this is the best meal I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm telling, it was not like a skewer of shrimp with a nice sauce. It was literally like shrimp and barbecue sauce. I think maybe it was on rice. It's very strange. Like, Gordon Ramsay would throw you out of Hell's Kitchen forever for serving it. But because I was like, this is the best food I've ever had in my life, my parents, God bless them, cooked it for me at least once every 2 weeks until I moved out for university. Thank God I have not had it since then, but that's my personal trauma to deal with. Apart from that, I'm like, for high school graduation, my parents took me to Red Lobster. Actually, now that for 11th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade graduation, my parents took me to Red Lobster. I know there's a lot of like Red Lobster, anti-Red Lobster discourse out there. I still think it's pretty okay. I do not think it's a quote-unquote, you know, fancy seafood restaurant. But, come on. Cheddar Bay biscuits. I really look at it almost the same way you would look at, like, I don't know, like an Outback Steakhouse versus, like, a fancy steakhouse. Sure, if you want to, like, ball out, you can go to an amazing seafood restaurant. And, you know, spend half your paycheck on a meal and be like, maybe this is worth it. I can taste the difference. But if you got, like, you know, 30 bucks and you want to feel like you're balling out but really just eat a lot of deep-fried shrimp, Red Lobster is your place. I can get down with that. Anyway, that was a good run, a very solid run and a very steady run. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya!